Okay, let's get into this. We've pulled together a whole collection of sources today, and it's a forecast for 2026 that feels less like a prediction and more like, I don't know, a roadmap for how work is about to change fundamentally. And these sources, I mean, they're from everywhere. We've got big economic forecasts, corporate strategy analyses, even some really deep academic papers on AI. But they all point to the same two things, these two huge forces driving 2026.
Right. First, you've got the economic slowdown, which is pushing companies to consolidate. And second,
AI. The rapid, I mean, absolutely transformative adoption of AI. It just feels like all the old assumptions we had about, job stability and career paths are being overturned in real time.
and that's exactly the mission of this deep dive for you, the learner. Think back just a couple of years ago. The professional world had these fixed ideas.
Sure, stable white-collar jobs.
Workers had all the leverage. The often was optional. Our sources are suggesting that, well, those ideas are now basically obsolete. We're looking at a massive job realignment.
So we need to figure out where the pressure is building.
Exactly. And critically, what specific non-negotiable skills you need to be prioritizing right now for stability and adaptability going forward.
Okay, so let's start with what the sources are calling the Great Divergence. This feels like the starkest shift of all. We're seeing a measurable decline in a lot of traditional white-collar roles, but at the same time, a huge surge in blue-collar opportunities.
The white-collar erosion is profound. It's because AI is going right after what the knowledge economy has always valued.
Yeah.
Routine data collection, putting things together, analysis,
So if you're in an entry-level job in, say, finance, law, consulting.
or even administration. Those routine tasks are now,
Yeah.
they're just highly susceptible to being automated.
And the numbers are just staggering. There's a major analysis from McKinsey that estimates, what was it, 12 million U.S. workers might have to switch occupations entirely by 2030.
12 million. And that's not just moving desks, right?
No, that's finding a whole new profession.
And while all that displacement pressure is building in knowledge work, it's the complete opposite in the physical economy. We're seeing a real renaissance in skilled trades, infrastructure, clean energy.
Right.
The sources cite data showing there were 600,000 unfilled jobs in manufacturing alone in 2025. These are jobs that need dexterity, bespoke work, judgment in, a messy, non-digital world.
Things AI just can't do right now.
Not yet. And when supply is that low and demand is that high.
The market responds. Wages go up.
Exactly. The sources show wages in construction and extraction roles rose 8% in 2025. That easily outpaced wage growth in a lot of white-collar fields.
And what's wild is how fast Gen Z seems to be picking up on this.
Oh, they're reading the tea leaves.
Yeah.
Almost half of Gen Z high school grads are now seriously considering trade schools over a traditional 4-year college path.
That is a massive cultural shift. It sounds like they're just doing a very quick, very pragmatic cost-benefit analysis and saying, look, I'll take the tangible skill, less debt, and this perceived immunity from AI over the uncertain return of a 4-year degree.
It's an intensely pragmatic move,
Yeah.
driven by the data they're seeing hit their older peers in the job market right now.
So let's connect that divergence, this split in job types, to how companies are actually behaving.
Yeah.
Because that whole era of aggressive grow-at-all-costs hiring seems to be, well, over.
It's over, yeah. Companies are consolidating. They're focused on efficiency, which has led to these widespread hiring freezes we're seeing across so many sectors.
And when you combine that consolidation with the pressure to adopt AI, it creates this specific stress point. The sources call it the squeezed middle.
Which is really about middle managers. Historically, managers were that bridge, right? The communication funnel between executives and the teams on the ground.
But if AI can now do a lot of that routine reporting and data synthesis, and consolidation means you have fewer layers of management, what happens to them?
They get stretched incredibly thin. The data shows 62% of managers are reporting higher workloads.
62%.
They're expected to absorb roles from people who've left, push their teams harder, all while trying to implement new AI tools they probably have zero training on.
So the executive goal is to use AI to make the existing staff more productive.
But the immediate reality is that the management layer is paying the price for that efficiency push. It's a huge burden.
That's a really powerful insight. Okay, let's pivot to the engine behind all this. AI itself. This is what we're calling the Great Paradox. It's this technology that's pitched as the great equalizer. Small teams can do the work of giants, but right now it looks more like the great divider.
You see that division so clearly in the adoption data. The early adopters, the tech-forward companies, they're thriving. But a huge chunk of the workforce is just Not there yet.
Not at all. A major survey in the source material found that 75% of workers feel actively unprepared to use AI in their jobs.
75%. But we know companies are mandating its use anyway.
Right. The sources also say 72% of workers feel pressured to use AI without enough training. It just sounds like forced adoption.
It absolutely is. And it raises a huge question for leadership.
Yeah.
Are companies risking more harm here, bad data, poor decisions, deep employee resentment by rushing this? The sources suggest yes, but.
But the financial pressure to adopt is just too high to ignore the risk.
Exactly. The imperative outweighs the internal execution risk, at least for now.
And that lack of good execution is borne out by this other wild statistic, the AI maturity score.
Oh, this one is fascinating
Yeah.
because the media narrative is that AI has already taken over, right? It's fully integrated.
But the technical reality is very different.
Very different. I
Yep.
mean, the sheer gap between the hype and the reality. The average AI maturity score, and this is across the top 1,000 organizations considered AI ready, is only 24.5 out of 100.
Wow, 24.5. That's stunningly low. What does a 24.5 company even look like in practice?
It looks fragmented. It
Yeah.
looks like one team might be doing cutting-edge work with large language models, while 15 other teams are, still just asking it to summarize an email chain.
It's chaotic.
Totally. Even the leading sector, telecommunications, only scores a 34 out of 100. But for you, the listener, this low maturity isn't a failure. It's a massive opportunity. It means the people who can bridge that gap, who can connect the technical potential to the effective, ethical deployment of AI, they're the ones who are going to define success in 2026.
Okay, so let's turn that opportunity into a concrete plan. What does the skills blueprint for 2026 actually look like? The sources lay out 3 essential competencies.
Number one is deep digital and AI fluency. And this goes way beyond just knowing how to write a prompt for a chatbot. We're talking about real specialization.
In what areas?
Machine learning, generative AI applications, specifically LLMs, and what's called LLMOs.
Can we define LLMOps quickly? That's basically the discipline of managing the entire life cycle of these big language models, right?
Exactly. From development all the way through deployment and maintenance. It's the infrastructure that makes AI scalable and reliable. And beyond pure AI, this fluency also includes these high-growth technical domains like cybersecurity.
Which is a huge market, projected to hit almost $700 billion by 2035.
And cloud computing, of course. AWS, Azure, Google. These are the foundational skills.
And then the second area is a total shift away from the technical. It's adaptability and resilience. The core human things technology can't replicate.
And the evidence for this is just overwhelming. Over 70% of companies now say they prioritize analytical thinking over pure technical skills when they're hiring.
Which makes sense. You can teach someone new software.
But it's much harder to teach critical judgment or emotional intelligence. The data even links things like empathy to 85% of career success. These so-called soft skills are the human bridge in this new automated world.
And the third essential skill area feels like it's becoming non-negotiable everywhere. Sustainability and green skills.
This is being driven by hard reality. I mean, CO2 emissions hit 37.8 gigatons in 2024. The market values these skills so highly because they represent risk management and, frankly, regulatory compliance.
So we're talking about specific skills like energy use optimization, carbon accounting.
In ESG reporting, that's environmental, social, and governance compliance. People who have even one core green skill have a 29% higher hiring rate. It's not niche anymore. It's a core strategic capability.
So for you, the learner, putting all this together means adopting a specific mindset. The sources, from places like Nextford and even online career forums, all point to 2 practical strategies.
First, adopt a growth orientation. Stop asking, will AI take my job? And start asking, how can I work with AI to do my job 5 times better?
And second, develop what they call hybrid thinking.
Which is really about combining your unique human judgment, your ethical compass, with the machine's raw data processing power. Continuous learning isn't a choice anymore, it's the mandate.
Speaking of working with AI, let's talk about how the fundamental definition of work is shifting. The sources introduced this really critical idea, moving past hybrid work and into blended work.
And the distinction is so important. Hybrid work was only ever about where you work. No home versus the office.
Location flexibility.
Right. Blended work is about how work gets done. It's where human effort and AI output become, well, inseparable.
So AI isn't just a tool you pick up like a calculator. It's an active coworker, a co-creator. It's drafting reports, suggesting strategies.
All without you necessarily initiating every single step.
Yeah.
And this blending It creates immediate social friction. The sources point out that workers who lean heavily on AI, even if they're way more productive, can be seen by their peers as less competent.
Or, ironically, more replaceable.
Exactly. The social perception is lagging way behind the tech.
And that technological blending plus the tight economy is just making existing social friction points in the workplace even worse. Return to office mandates are a perfect example.
Oh yeah, executives are pushing RTO hard. But 70% of employees who can work remotely still want to be hybrid or fully remote, and you can measure the cost of that friction.
RTO mandates were a factor in 1 in 4 workers leaving their jobs in 2025.
It costs companies talent. It costs them morale.
And one of the most concerning things in the data is the squeeze on working mothers. The flexibility they gained during the pandemic is it's eroding fast.
It is. Stricter RTO policies combined with rising costs. The average cost of childcare went up 10% in 2025 alone. You put these two things together, and you risk reversing the gains we saw in female labor force participation.
And finally, a huge financial stressor. Healthcare. U.S. employer healthcare spending grew 7% in 2025. This isn't just a line item for companies, it's a personal financial crisis for employees.
Managing these costs is now the #1 priority for employers. But for employees, the leverage is clear. 35% of workers said they would switch jobs for better healthcare benefits.
Even for the same pay.
Even for the same pay. That number just shows you how critical good, affordable benefits have become in this unstable market.
So we have all this convergence. Economic pressure, tech integration, social friction. With all the focus on what machines can do, what's left that is uniquely and indispensably human. The sources close with this genuinely fascinating study on leadership.
It's from Harvard. And they use this incredibly sophisticated way to measure genuine human leadership. They used a group problem called the hidden profile paradigm to get a ground truth of a leader's ability.
Can you just quickly explain what that is, the hidden profile thing?
Sure. It's a task where the key information needed to solve a problem is spread out unevenly among the team members. No one person has the whole picture.
So the only way to succeed is if the leader gets everyone to share their unique piece of information.
Precisely. It's a perfect test of communication and collaborative leadership.
So they figured out how well human leaders led human teams. Then they did something really innovative.
Yes. They tested those same human leaders again, but this time their followers were advanced AI agents built with large language models.
And the result was pretty striking.
It was. The ability to lead humans was strongly predicted by how well that same leader could lead the AI agents. The correlation was incredibly high, a raw correlation of 0.81.
A 0.81. That's huge. It suggests the core skills of good leadership work whether your follower is a person or a program.
Absolutely. The study found that successful leaders, whether leading humans or AI, did a few specific things consistently. They ask more questions, they engage in more frequent conversational turn-taking, and they use more plural pronouns, we or us.
And why do those specific behaviors work so well for both? What's the connection?
Well, for humans, those behaviors create psychological safety, clear feedback loops, a sense of shared purpose. For the AI agents, which don't have emotions, they respond to the structure of that communication. Asking questions provides clear input. Turn-taking ensures engagement. Using we structurally reinforces the shared goal that the AI is programmed to optimize for.
It's just a highly efficient way to set expectations, and the business implications of this are massive. I mean, the study found the AI test was way cheaper to run.
Oh, significantly. $23 per participant versus $114 for the human version. It suggests a really scalable way to improve how we select and train leaders. But there was a key difference.
Right, emotion.
Emotion. Positive affect, showing warmth, encouragement. That was strongly linked to success in the human test, but it played a much smaller role in the AI test.
And that distinction feels like the whole story right there. The machine can measure and respond to structure, to efficiency. But that emotional perceptiveness, the empathy, that's the enduring necessary skill for leading actual human beings.
Absolutely. The 2026 workplace is defined by this convergence. Economic reality meets technological inevitability. Success means being resilient, embracing learning, and focusing intensely on that unique human capital, especially that high-quality communication that builds a shared purpose.
Yeah, the core takeaway from all these sources is that our jobs are becoming blended. This fusion of human judgment with AI output is already here in everything from client reports to marketing copy. But since the AI part is still a kind of black box, that raises a critical question for you, the listener, to think about. How will this new blended normal force organizations to completely redesign their ethical and legal boundaries around authorship, accountability, and IP when the work product is truly inseparable from its AI co-creator? The answer to that is going to define success and legal liability for the next decade.